The next question was asked on sampling theorem. This was in 2013 and this was a very easy question. A band limited signal with a maximum frequency of 5 kHz is to be sampled. According to sampling theorem, the sampling frequency is not valid which frequency is not valid according to sampling theorem. So, the band limited signal has maximum frequency of 5 kHz. So, the sampling frequency must be greater than 10 kHz. So, the options are given 5 kHz, 12 kHz, 15 kHz and 20 kHz, and all the frequencies are greater than 10 kHz except 5 kHz. So, the 5 kHz signal frequency is not appropriate for sampling a signal of 5 kHz xt. So, this question was very easy. The next question, this question was asked in 2014, one marks question. The question is, consider two real valued signal xt band limited to 500 Hz. There is one real valued signal xt is real and it is band limited to minus 500 Hz to, since this is real value, so if it is band limited to 500 Hz, it obviously means that in the negative frequency it will go up to minus 500 Hz. Okay. And they have given another signal yt which is band limited to minus 1 kHz to 1 kHz. Yt is band limited to minus 1 kHz to 1 kHz. For zt, which is xt into yt, they have given zt equal to xt into yt. The Nyquist sampling frequency in kilohertz is, they are asking Nyquist sampling frequency for zt. So, obviously Nyquist sampling frequency for to sample zt will be, the fs to sample zt must be greater than 2 into maximum frequency content, maximum frequency content of zt. So, first we will again we have to find out maximum frequency content of zt. So, we need to take Fourier transform of zt. So, if you want to take Fourier transform of zt, because zt is not given, zt is given in terms of xt into yt, so we need to take Fourier transform of xt into yt. So, Fourier transform of xt into yt is xt into yt, this is equal to 1 by 2 pi x omega convolution y omega, or later I will teach you Fourier transform, and you from single system you already know Fourier transform. Later I will teach you, before teaching communication system, I will teach you frequency transform. There is a little bit difference between frequency transform and Fourier transform. So, if I represent, but I am writing the formula in terms of frequency transform. If you write down frequency transform, we will take xf into yf. In terms of frequency transform, we need not to write 1 by 2 pi here. So, just frequency transform of xt into yt is equal to frequency transform of xf convolution frequency transform of yf. Now, xf is band limited to 500 Hz. So, we do not know exact shape of fs because xt is not given. So, suppose this is minus 500 Hz, 500 Hz, and yf is given band limited to 1 kHz. So, suppose yf is, now for finding out frequency transform of zt, we need to take convolution of these two signals. Whenever we take convolution of these two signals, which is limited in terms of their variable, like this is xf and this is f, this is frequency transform. Suppose the variable f frequency and xf is limited in terms of frequency. Again yf is also limited to, this is also limited in terms of frequency. Now if such two types of signal, for such two types of signal, if you want to take convolution, the lower limit gets added up. These are the lower limit. So after convolution you will again get a signal which is limited in terms of frequency. This will not go to infinity, and the limit is decided by summation of the lower limit and summation of upper limit. So the frequency component will start giving non-zero value from -500 plus -1000 hertz. So the non-zero value, the first non-zero value you will get after -1500 hertz, and since this is frequency transform of a real signal, I mean xt and yt are real signals, so zt will also be a real signal. So the Fourier frequency transform of zt will also be symmetric about y-axis. So if you are, or the lower limit will the xf will give you, start giving non-zero value from -15 hertz, and upper limit is decided by taking addition of upper limit of these two terms. So it will go up to 1500 hertz. So you will say that, and you don't need to take convolution, just you have to decide the upper limit of the maximum frequency content of ZF. This is ZF. So the maximum frequency content will be 1500. So for taking for sampling ZF or ZT, we need Fs must be greater than 2 into 1500, that is 3 kilohertz. The minimum sampling frequency for ZF or ZT must be greater than, minimum frequency must be 3 kilohertz. This is the first question of this type. That's why I solve it by procedure. If you have to solve it by, this is xt, this is yt, this is band limited to 500 hertz, this is band limited to 1000 hertz. So xt convolution yt will be band limited to summation of these two values. This is band limited to 1500 hertz. Now if the question was, suppose zt is this is not convolution, sorry, this is multiplication. So multiplication xt into yt is band limited to 1500 hertz. Now suppose the question was zt is xt plus yt. Now you have to find out the sampling frequency for zt. Now xt, so again for sampling zt you need to find out Fourier transform of or frequency transform of zt. Now if you want to take frequency transform of zt, you don't need to take convolution. Simply you will say that zf is equal to xf plus yf. Now xf is band limited to, in this frequency domain it gives value up to 500 hertz, and yf gives value up to 1000 hertz. Now if you will add these two values, what you will get? You will get the maximum frequency content as 1000 hertz, because up to 500 hertz this will the two signal will overlap, so they will get added up, but after 500 hertz it has zero value. So if zt is equal to xt plus yt, the maximum frequency content of zt will be the maximum frequency content, the maximum of the maximum frequency content of xt and yt. So the sampling frequency for zt in this case will be, the maximum frequency content is in yt, that is 1000 hertz. So the maximum frequency content of zt will be 1000 hertz. So the sampling frequency for this will be 2000 hertz. Now if zt was given as, suppose zt is given as xt convolution yt, and now the question is what is the sampling frequency of zt. So again, if you will take Fourier transform of or frequency transform of zt, you will get zf, and since these two signals are in time domain convolution, in frequency domain these two will get multiplied xf into pi f. Now xf is band limited to 500 hertz, this is 500, and you have to multiply, you do not have to take convolution here, and this is band limited to 1 kilohertz. Now if you will multiply these two signals, after 500 this has 0 value, so after multiplication you will get non-zero value, of zf only up to 500 hertz. So in this case the maximum frequency content of zf is minima of xf and yf. So we can summarize it as, if zt is equal to xt into yt, suppose this is band limited to 500 hertz, this is 1000 hertz, the maximum frequency content will be 500 plus 1000. If zt is equal to xt plus yt, this is addition, the maximum frequency content will be maximum of 500 and 1000, which is 1000, and if zt is xt convolution yt, the maximum frequency content of zt will be minima of, because in the frequency domain the two frequency transform will get they will get multiplied, so you will get minima of 500 and 1000. So once you get maximum frequency content of zt, you will get the sampling frequency, you will get the frequency of sampling signal required for zt. In 2014 only, this was asked in set 3 and it contained 1 marks. Let xt is equal to cos 10 pi t, xt is equal to cos 10 pi t, 10 pi t plus cos 30 pi t be sampled at 20 hertz. Sampling frequency for xt is 20 hertz and reconstructed using ideal low pass filter with cutoff frequency of 20 hertz. The cutoff frequency is also 20 hertz. The frequency or frequencies present in the reconstructed signal. This question was asked in 2014, set 3 and 1 marks. So the options given are, the option gives 5 hertz and 15 hertz only. Okay, so we have done this type of question, so we will quickly find out the answer, and after finding out the answer we will see the option. Fs is sampling frequency is 20 hertz, cos 10 pi t, this is angular frequency, 10 pi is angular frequency. So for this signal this is 5 hertz and this is of 15 hertz. Now xt is summation of these two signals, so the maximum frequency content in xt will be maxima of these two signals, so the maximum frequency. Okay, this is not that type of question. Okay, xt has two frequency component, 5 hertz and 15 hertz. Okay. So if we make the spectra of xt, we will get an impulse at 5 and minus 5 and another impulse is at 15 and minus 15. This is 15, minus 15, minus 5 and 5. Now we have to sample it at the rate of 20 hertz. So the first impulse will be at 0, then at 20, then at 40, minus 20, minus 40, this is minus 20, minus 40. Now, if we will take convolution, we will get same signal. So, we will get signal of 5 hertz. I am not taking negative frequencies, 15 hertz. Now, if you will take convolution of the 4 impulse with this impulse, there will be a shift of 20 hertz. So, this minus 15 will become minus 15 plus 25. So, it will coincide at this 5, this is 5 hertz. You will get again an impulse at 5 hertz. This will be at minus 5 plus 20, 15 hertz. So, this will coincide with previous impulse which occurred at 15 hertz. 5 plus 20, this will be at 25, 15 plus 20, 35, and the same negative, at the same negative frequencies there will be impulse. Now, it is filtered, the cutoff frequency of filter is 20 hertz. So, these two signals will be filtered out, not only these two signals, all the higher frequency content of sample signal will be filtered out except 5 hertz and 15 hertz. So, in the output 5 hertz and 15 hertz components of frequency are present. Okay, this is given in option, and we need not to see the answer. This is an easy question. There is another question which was asked in 2009 of 2 marks. The question is, an LTI system having transfer function x square plus 1 divided by s square plus 2s plus 1 and input xt equal to sin t plus 1. The output is sampled at rate omega s radian per second to obtain the final output yk. This signal is fed in this system, which is transfer function given as, and the output this output is sampled. Here sampling is done to obtain yk. Which of the following is true? There are 4 options given about y. The A option says y is 0 for all sampling frequency omega s. The B option says y is non-zero for all sampling frequencies omega s. C option says y is non-zero for omega s greater than 2 but 0 for omega s less than 2, and D option says y is 0 for omega s greater than 2 but non-zero for omega s less than 2. So, first we need to know if a sinusoidal signal is given to a system whose transfer function is given, then how to calculate yt or ys. There is one more important sentence here is, an LTI system having transfer function this and input xt is given is in steady state. So, if you give sin t plus 1 to this signal to this system, and the question says yt is in steady state, this sentence has a meaning. If it is not in steady state, then analysis will be different. If it is in steady state, analysis will be easier. So, this is an AC signal of frequency 1 radian per second, and but we do not have to do sampling of this signal. We need to give this signal to the system, and whatever output is coming, we need to sample that output. Now, so first we need to find out, the options are given. First option is says that yk will always be 0. The second option says yk will never be 0. The third option says, in the third and fourth option, we have given a boundary 2 radian per second, and the third option says for omega s less than 2 radian per second, the output will be 0, and the fourth option says omega s greater than 2 radian per second, the output will be 0. If you do not consider this system, if you have to sample this signal has an angular frequency of
omega m equal to 1 radian per second, and if we need to sample this signal, we need to have at least sampling angular frequency equal to 2 radian per second. So, if it is sampled at the rate of 2 radian per second, we will get undistorted output, and if it is sampled, the question does not say anything about filter, and if sampling of this signal is done at the lower rate, at a rate lower than 2 radian per second, even in that case we will get output, but the output will be distorted. So, if we do not consider this system, in any case, in all the cases we will get output. Okay. Now, but that is another case. We have to apply this input to this system, and first we have to find out the steady state output y t. Now, if we want to find out y t, and if y t is in a steady state, the procedure is this signal has a frequency of omega equal to 1 radian per second. So, for pure AC component, if we apply, this is pure AC signal, and in a steady state, whatever the system is, in a steady state you will get pure AC signal here. So, for gain, in case of pure AC signal, if you want to calculate gain, you can put S equal to j omega, and this omega is, suppose you want to calculate gain of this system for any frequency omega. So, you will put S equal to j omega. So, y t is equal to j omega square plus 1 j omega square plus 2 j omega plus 1. This is not y t, this is gain of a system for any angular frequency omega. So, this will be 1 minus omega square divided by, this is minus omega square, 1 minus omega square plus 2 j omega. This is j omega. Now, you see the gain is not a real value, it is a complex value. So, we need to find out magnitude of this signal, this gain, and it will also provide some phase. Like if you try to find out, suppose there is an RC circuit, and this is V output, this is V input, pure AC signal, and if you try to find out what will be the output here, you will say that you will get an output voltage, but the phase of output voltage and phase of input voltage, they will not be same. Like if this is 1 ohm, this is minus j 1 ohm, the current, and suppose this is P angle 0. So, the resistance and capacitance are same, so a leading current will flow here, and the lead will be, the power factor is 1 by root 2. So, the lead will be current, the phasor of current will be 1 angle 45. Now, if you want to calculate output voltage across capacitor, the output voltage will be I angle 45 into minus j1. Minus j1 means 1 angle minus 90 degree. So, you will get magnitude output voltage and also the impedance of capacitor, but impedance of capacitor is 1. Okay, so you will get 1 angle minus 45 degree. So, the phasor of output is minus 45 degree, where the phasor of input is at 0. So, we got a phase shift of 45 degree, minus 45 degree from input to output. Similarly, this is a second order circuit. So, we can calculate, if you take magnitude of this value, you will get gain, the input voltage is V and the output voltage is I. So, the gain will be, the magnitude of gain will be I divided by V. So, if you take magnitude, the magnitude of j omega will give you gain. This is 1 minus omega square divided by 1 minus omega square whole square plus 2 omega whole square root under. This is gain of this system, and phase shift for any frequency omega, that this omega depends on the frequency of input. This is exactly equal to the frequency of input if the input is pure AC signal. Now if you want to calculate how much phase difference this system will provide from input to output. So if you want to calculate phasor of Gj omega, this is equal to this is not going to provide any phasor, there is no complex quantity here. So here the angle is 0, angle 0 minus angle contributed by this is tan inverse, the imaginary component is 2 omega divided by the real part is, so the angle contributed is minus tan inverse 2 omega divided by 1 minus omega square. Okay. So this is all about this transfer function. Now for our signal, for in this case, for the angular frequency of the signal is 1 radian per second. So for 1 radian per second, the gain of this system is, if you put omega equal to 1, you will get gain 0. I mean there is no output. If the magnitude of output is 0, we will not talk about the phasor of this signal. Phasor of this signal is phasor of output signal is significant only when it has some magnitude. So if phi t is 0, there is no need to sample it. So the if phi t is 0, we will not look at sampling, the yk is always 0. This type of system, and there was one sentence in the question, the yt is in a steady state. Now what is the meaning of this sentence? If or what would happen if yt was not in steady state? See, this is a system, this is a second order system, and so example of second order system is an RLC circuit. So if we take RLC circuit, and we will connect it with a switch. This is input sine t plus 1, this is AC input, and if you take output across capacitor and you try to find out transfer function of this system, this is voltage across capacitor divided by input voltage, you will get no S value in the numerator, and you will get a second order polynomial of S in the denominator. If you take output across this resistance, you will get a S to power 1 in the numerator, and if you take output across inductor, you will get S square in numerator and second order polynomial in it does not matter where you are taking the output, the denominator will always be same, but the numerator will change. Okay. Now whenever you close this switch, it is not like the instant when you close the switch, the steady state current and everything comes in steady state. No, when you close the switch, the total response is, the total output voltage or the total current is, there are two types of current flows in the circuit. The total current is IDC plus IAC. The AC current, this is the current that we know. This current can be calculated as voltage divided by whole impedance and along with the phase difference, like this current is In sin omega t minus phi, where phi will be the phase difference contributed by that is calculated by RLC circuit, and IDC is, this is the DC component of current, DC component of, this is DC component of current. The AC current will continue to flow, it will vary sinusoidally, and the DC current will flow according to the response of second order system to a DC input. Suppose the DC current will flow like, and it will decay after some time. So, in a steady state, at any time, at any instant, the total current will be summation of a steady state component and DC component of current. But in a steady state, the DC component of current will decay to 0. So, the only current will left will be AC component of current. So, if this is in a steady state, there is only AC component of current, and if the system is in a steady state, if you want to, then only for calculating gain of this system you can put S equal to j omega. If the system is not in a steady state or the input and output is not pure AC, you cannot put S equal to j omega to calculate phase and gain of this system. So, this is all I wanted to say. Analyzing what will be the value of DC component and AC component. This is only in the syllabus of electrical engineering. So, I teach that thing in power electronics, or when I teach only to electrical students. This lecture is basically for sampling theorem, is basically for AC students. So, in the syllabus of AC, finding out DC component of current is not so important. I mean, it is not in the syllabus. So, I will not do it here. So far, we have studied sampling theorem, and sampling is done with the help of impulse train. But impulse train is practically, this is impossible to generate. So, that was ideal sampling, but that is not possible. Apart from ideal sampling, the first we studied was ideal sampling. And we did question on that. We did 4 or 5 questions. The second is natural sampling. On natural sampling, question was not asked, but there are certain steps in the derivation of natural sampling. We will solve some questions, or there are some concepts which we will study during derivation of, or during natural sampling. Those concepts are important for that. So, we will study it. The third sampling is flat top sampling. Flat top sampling. On flat top sampling, 3 or 4 questions were asked. So, from the question point of view, this is important. And so, before starting natural sampling, in ideal sampling, we have studied that the minimum sampling rate must be greater than 2 times of maximum frequency content of the original signal. This formula is valid only for baseband signal, this type of signal. The signal for which the frequency spectrum is, or the frequency spectrum starts from 0 frequency, or it is up to some maximum frequency p, but it starts from origin, from DC value, or a frequency very near to origin. This type of signal is called baseband signal. Baseband signal. So, this formula is valid only for this type of signal, or we need in this case we need very high value of sampling frequency. Like if the signal is not like this baseband signal, suppose we have to sample a single frequency, suppose this is a frequency of 1 kilohertz, and suppose we want to sample this signal and suppose the sampling frequency is 0.5 kilohertz. Now, if we want to sample it, there will be one impulse at 0.0 kilohertz at 0, another sample will be an impulse will be at in the Fourier transform of impulse train. This will be at 1 kilohertz minus 0.5 and minus 1 kilohertz. Now, if you will take convolution, whether sampling can be done or not, this is based on after the sampled signal whether you are able to extract the original signal or not. If you are not able to extract the original signal, the sampling is failed. So, we will say that sampling cannot be done. So, first I am sampling, and then we will check that whether the original signal, whether this spectra can be filtered out or not. Now, if we sample it, if we take convolution of these two signals, we will get frequency component of we will get the same frequency component 1 kilohertz. Then if we take convolution of signal with 0.5 kilohertz, this is minus 1, we will get frequency of, I am writing only positive frequencies, 1.5 kilohertz. If we take convolution of this signal, this is done. If we take convolution with this signal, we will get minus 1, 0 and 1 and 1, 2. Again, if we take convolution with this signal, this is 1.5, minus 1 and 1.5 will give you 0.5 kilohertz and 2.5 kilohertz. Then this is at 2, this will give you 1 kilohertz and 3 kilohertz. This is at 2, 1 and 3 kilohertz. Now, and in the same way you will get negative frequencies. Now, what you have to do? You have to extract 1 kilohertz. So, this can be done by a band pass filter. Suppose you have all the frequencies of starting from 0 in the sample signal, you have 0.5, then 1, then 1.5, then 2, then 2.5. In the same way, you will have minus 0.5, minus 1, minus 1.5, minus 2, minus 2.5, 0, 0.5. This is 1 kilohertz signal. This is 1 kilohertz. Now, if you, what you have to do is, after this is sample signal, this is frequency transform of sample signal. Now, you have to extract 1 kilohertz. So, if you use a band pass filter can easily extract this signal. So, even in this case, the sampling frequency is not greater than 2 times of maximum frequency of original signal, but after sampling the 1 kilohertz signal can be extracted out. So, here the sampling can be done. The reason is the 1 kilohertz I have taken a single frequency of 1 kilohertz. Here the formula is for, if suppose this is 1 kilohertz and the frequency spectra of original signal, if this is continuous from 0 to 1 kilohertz, then we cannot sample it with this rate. The formula, then we will have to apply this formula. Similarly, this was just an example for band pass signal. A band pass signal is a signal suppose this is a signal, this is 0 and this is 5 kilohertz and this is 5.5 kilohertz. Suppose a real signal has this type of frequency spectrum. If the signal is real, then we will have mirror image also, minus 5, and minus 5.5 and 5k. So this type of signal is called band pass signal. Band pass signal. These are band pass signal. This type of signal is low pass signal. Now, for this type of signal, from that formula we will get, if we use a sampling frequency that is twice of 5.5, that is 11 kilohertz. Obviously, this signal can be sampled, but this is not the minimum frequency at which the signal can be sampled. There are another frequencies which is less than 11 kilohertz, at the rate of which this signal can be sampled. The formula for that frequency is the minimum sampling frequency. I am just writing down the formula: 2fc plus b divided by k plus 1 fs 2fc minus b divided by k. The sampling frequency must lie in this range, where k is an integer. K is an integer. Suppose we need to sample this signal, where fc is central frequency of, suppose this is 5 and this is 5.5, or just for solving this I am taking it as 6. This frequency is 6, this is minus 6. So the central frequency will be the mean of these two frequencies, that is 5.5 kilohertz. So the fc in this case will be 5.5 kilohertz. Band is the bandwidth is 1 kilohertz. So b equal to 1 kilohertz here, and k is in integer. Suppose we want to find out the minimum sampling frequency required to sample this signal. Now, if we put fc equal to 5.5, the 2fc is 11 plus band is 1 divided by k plus 1 must be less than, fs must be greater than this and must be less than 2fc is 11 minus b is 1 divided by k. So this will give us 12 divided by k plus 1, 10 divided by. Now we need to check, suppose this is the formula to calculate, or this is the range for sampling frequency, and if you are applying this, so the most necessary condition is, for any integer k, this quantity must be less than this quantity, because if you analyze it by putting some values, there may be cases when this quantity is not less than this quantity. So fs cannot lie, so there will be no fs in this range. So in that case you will have to use this formula: fs must be greater than 2fm, then fs will come as 12 kilohertz. This is always in your hand. You can always sample with this rate, but if you want to look for even minimum frequency, even a frequency which is lower than fs, so you will look here. Now for our case, this is 12. Now put any value of k, any integer k. Suppose k equal to 1. So if you put k equal to 1, fs will be 12 divided by 2, 10. So fs must lie between 6 kilohertz to 10 kilohertz. It means from 6 kilohertz to 10 kilohertz, a frequency, a signal, or the sampling frequency between 6 kilohertz to 10 kilohertz can sample this signal. If you Like if you take a sampling frequency of 8 kilohertz and you try to sample this signal, you will get no overlapping. And even if you take a sampling frequency of 12 kilohertz and you make the spectra of the sample signal, the frequency and spectra of Fourier signal, you will get no overlapping. Again, this is also this is the range. Now, if we do, but we have to find out the minimum value of Fs. So we will increase k, and for some k, we will find that this quantity becomes greater than this quantity. So there will not be any range for Fs. Now, if you want to put k equal to 2, we will get 12 divided by 3 must be less than Fs, must be less than 10 divided by 2. So here we are getting 10 kilohertz Fs 5. So even if frequency is between 4 kilohertz to 5 kilohertz, even a frequency with the frequency of 4 kilohertz, this signal can be sampled. Now, for k equal to 3, if you want to check, 4 divided by 3 plus 1 must be less than Fs. Is divided by 3. Now, this is 3 less than Fs less than 3.3. So this is also valid. So the minimum frequency here is 3 kilohertz. Now, if you put k equal to 4, you will get 12 divided by 4 plus 1 less than Fs, 12 divided by 4. So this will give us 12 divided by 5, 2.4 less than Fs, 3. So this is also valid, but you keep on going. I have taken a value such that there are much lower sampling frequencies possible. So you will keep doing this until this condition violates. Suppose I am putting k equal to 11. If we put k equal to 11 here, this will give you 1 kilohertz, 12 divided by 11 plus 1, 1 kilohertz, and for k equal to 11, this is less than 1 kilohertz. So 1 kilohertz cannot be less than 1 kilo. Suppose if you put k equal to 11, you will get 9.01, sorry, 0.901, and here you will get 1. So 1 is not less than 0.9. So if you put k equal to 11, this is not possible. Similarly, you have to check at k equal to 10. If you put k equal to 10, you will get 1, and here you will get more than 1. So this is also not possible. Similarly, you have to check for different k, and the value of k after for which this condition violates, you have to take 1 less than that value of that k, and that will give you the minimum sampling frequency for this signal. Derivation for this formula, I am not deriving it here, and also the derivation is not required for gate, but people who are interested to know, for those people I will make a different video, a separate video lecture to derive this formula. That is little bit difficult, and that is tricky also. So first I am going to teach natural sampling. In natural sampling, signal xt is multiplied with rectangular pulses. Like in ideal sampling, we took a signal xt and we multiplied it with ideal impulse train. In this case, we are taking a signal xt, so this is xt, and instead of impulse train, we will have a rectangular pulse train of a small width. Suppose this is first rectangular pulse, this one is another, the pulse width is same. Suppose this is the pulse width is t1, and it gets repeated after this much time. So this is sampling time period Ts, and this is T1. So now if we multiply these two signals, we will get sample signal. This is xt and this is suppose st, and now here xst. So now if we multiply these two signals, this is height of 1. In case of ideal sampling, we have taken impulse train, and impulse has a strength of 1 area. Here height is 1. So if you multiply 1 height to this type of shape, we will get this type of shape here. We will get this type of shape. If you multiply here, you will get this shape. At this point, you will get this type of shape, and rest all the signals are 0. So this is the sample signal we will get if we use rectangular pulses. And now we have to find out the Fourier transform of this sample signal, and we have to analyze the Fourier spectrum. So in the same way as we did in the case of impulse train, we will find out Fourier transform of this periodic signal. And for finding Fourier transform of this periodic signal, we will first find Fourier series coefficient of this periodic signal. So if xt is given, we will assume that xf is given. Now I am not writing x omega. X omega is Fourier transform. I am writing here is frequency transform. The difference is only in the x axis. In case of Fourier transform, at this axis we take omega, and this axis is in radian per second. In case of frequency transform, we will take frequency here, and this axis will be in hertz. Whether we take xf or x omega, this will be same. So suppose xf is known, and first we have to find out Fourier series coefficient of this signal. So we will write down formula for ak. Ak is equal to 1 by t, which is ts here, and integration over the period of ts, ft e to power minus j k omega st. So 1 by st, 1 by ts, we will take limit from, if you take limit from 0 to ts, this is not, ts is not up to here, ts is up to here, this is ts. So if you take limit from 0 to ts, you will have to do 2 impulses. So it's better to take limit from minus ts by 2 to plus ts by 2. ft e to power minus jk omega st. Earlier I told that the sampling with rectangular pulse is not important. What we are doing here is important. We are finding Fourier series coefficient of rectangular pulse. So this is important for gate. Finding out Fourier transform of rectangular pulse, this is important for gate. And if we will do this much, so there will be only a few steps to find out Fourier transform of this signal. So we will study natural sampling also. So 1 by ts, integrating it from minus ts by 2 to plus ts by 2 is equivalent to integrating it this is minus, if this width is
T1, I am taking the rectangular pulse symmetric about y axis.
the total width is T1, so this width, this point will be minus T1 by 2 and this point is plus T1 by 2.
So, integrating this rectangular pulse, the signal from minus Ts by 2 to plus Ts by 2
is equivalent to
integrating minus T1 by 2 to plus T1 by 2.
so minus T1 by 2 to plus T1 by 2,
And in this period, its magnitude is
1 into e to power minus j k omega st. This is the value of a k.
if you integrate it,
And put the limit, we will get a k is minus 1 by j k omega s e to power j k omega s, and first we will take upper limit, we will get e to power minus j k omega s ts by 2 minus e to power, if you take lower limit, minus minus is plus j k omega s ts by 2, this is plus. So a k will be, if you take minus inside, this is plus, this is minus,
so e to power j theta minus e to power
minus j theta
will give you
j2 sin theta. So 1 by j k omega s
and 1 by Ts is also here.
so this is ts into j2 sin k,
And the limit is not minus Ts by 2 to plus Ts by 2, this is T1 minus T1 by 2 to plus T1 by 2.
so this is T1, this is also T1,
So 2 sin omega
k omega s T1 by 2, this j and j is cancelled out, and we have already taken care of this minus, so this minus is not here. So this will give you 2 sin k omega s T1 by 2, where T1 is the width of pulse
and Ts is
period of
time period of pulse.
k omega s ts. ak for rectangular pulse which has width T1,
This is Ak for rectangular pulse.
we take T2 here,
2 sin k omega s is common, k omega s T1 by 2,
k omega s ts,
either you remember this way
or
omega s into Ts is
2 pi.
2 and 2 will be cancelled out.
So this will give you sin k omega s T1 by 2 divided by, this will give you 2 and 2 are cancelled, so this is k into pi. Now
We will keep comparing with impulse train. Suppose at the place of rectangular pulse,
when impulse train was here, we got ak equal to 1 by
Ts for all the value of k. But if here, if we want to find out Ak for different values of k, for k equal to 0,
if you put k equal to 0, we will get 0 by 0 form. So either we will differentiate it we will calculate it with the help of L'Hospital rule, or if the angle is 0, sin theta can be written as theta. So for k equal to 0, we will get a0 equal to, put sin theta equal to theta, k omega s T1 by 2 divided by k pi. So k and k will be cancelled out. This is omega s T1 divided by 2 pi, or omega s T1, write 2 pi as omega s Ts. This will be cancelled out, T1 by Ts. From Fourier series coefficient, we also know that A naught gives the average value of function ft. So the average value is T1 by Ts, or if you want to calculate from ft, this is ft, so or st. So the average value will be, in one time period you will get area as T1 into 1 and the total time period is Ts. So the average value will be T1 by Ts. So this verify here. For suppose k equal to 1, if you want to find out Fourier series coefficient, if you put k equal to 1, we will get sin omega s T1 divided by 2 divided by k. If we will put k equal to 1 here, so this will give you pi. So this is sin omega s T1 divided by 2 pi. Okay, so this is A1. Okay. Similarly, if you want to calculate A2, you will get it sin 2 omega s T1 divided by 4 pi. If you keep increasing k, this term may increase or decrease because this is sine term here. So this term will oscillate, but in denominator k will keep increasing. So overall, in this case, ak will decrease. But if we use impulse train, the ak is constant throughout. This is always 1 by Ts. So this is one difference. Or we can plot for ak. Suppose for plotting ak, I am taking k on right axis, on x axis, and magnitude of ak on y axis. On y axis. So at k equal to 0, we got value as T1 divided by Ts. Now for plotting, actually we have to take value of k as discrete values, but for plotting first I am considering k continuous. So if you plot this will become 0 at whenever this is integral multiple of pi, sine term is 0. So whenever k omega s T1 by 2, this becomes integral multiple of pi, not by 2. Yes, whenever it gets, this is integral multiple of pi, this whole angle is, we will get this term 0. So first we try to find out on x axis for what value of k this will be 0. Okay. So if it is n pi, so for first 0 I am taking n as 1, because at n equal to 0 this is not 0. At n equal to 0 we got 0 by 0 form, so this will have non-zero value. So the first k is 2 pi divided by omega s T1. Okay, this will be, if we write 2 pi as omega s into Ts divided by omega s into T1. So Ts by T1. So whenever k is equal to, we have skipped the integer, so we will take the integer back. So whenever k is integral multiple of Ts by T1, obviously Ts is greater than T1. So whenever k is integral multiple of Ts by T1, this has value 0. So suppose this is the first value, and this is Ts, suppose this is Ts by T1, then 2 Ts by T1 will have the same distance as the distance from origin to the first Ts by T1. So the second Ts by T1 will be, this is 2 Ts by T1. T1, and this is the value of AK for k equal to 0. Now, if we plot this,
so from starting from k equal to 0 in this signal, in this formula, if you increase k,
suppose k is continuous, so you will get envelope like this. This is 180 degree, and this is again, if you put k equal to 2 Ts by T1,
you will get
2 pi. So, this is 180 degree, sine is 0. Second, at 360 degree, sine is 0. At 270 degree, you will get -1 for sine. At 270 degree, k will have some value. So, the amplitude will not be same as the
first amplitude.
So, the second amplitude will be somewhere here. So, this is the second amplitude. Again, at 540, this will again be 0, but in between 360 to 540, at 450, this will again, the sine will again have maximum value. This will be 1, but k has increased from, at this point k is equal to, here k is 0, here k is at this point k is equal to Ts by T1. At this point k will be 1.5 Ts by T1. Again, at this point sine will have value 1, but k has increased. So, again amplitude will decrease, and this way amplitude will keep decreasing. Similarly, we will plot it in negative axis T1. Suppose T1 equal to Ts by 3. Now, if we put T1 equal to Ts by 3, we will get AK as sine, if this is Ts by 3,
omega s Ts gives
360 degree,
omega s Ts by 2 gives
180 degree,
and instead of Ts we are putting
T1 equal to Ts by 3. So,
we are
omega STS by 2, this is 360 degree, this will give you 180 degree, but instead of putting Ts, we are putting Ts by 3. So, we will get 60 degree at the place of this, and k will be,
k is separate.
So, at the place of AK, we will use sine k into 60 degree divided by k pi, and Ts by T1 will be 3. So, if you put k equal to 3, you will get first node, and if you put k equal to 1, if you put k equal to 0, we will get T1 by Ts. So, this point will be, this height will be 1 by 3. For k equal to 1, we will get sine 60 degree divided by pi. We will get root 3 by 2 divided by pi,
and this height will obviously be less than 1 by 3, because this is 3 and this is less than 1.
So, for k equal to, this is k equal to 3, this is k equal to 1, k equal to 2. So, here the AK will be, this is value of A1, this is value of A2, A1, this is A2, A3 is 0. Similarly, this is A6 is 0, this is A6, this is A9, and between A3 to A6 here is A4. So, A4 is negative, this is A4, and this is A5, A5 is also negative. So, this way we can find out the discrete values. We first made the envelope, and now we are putting the discrete values. Okay, so this way we found out the value of AK. Now we have to take Fourier transform. So we have done it many times. The Fourier transform of periodic signal. We will first point out the place where the impulse may occur. So this is periodic with Ts. So impulse may occur at integral multiple of omega s or k into 2 pi by Ts. So suppose this is omega s, this is 2 omega s, 4 omega s, and similarly in negative direction this is 0. So these are the places for impulses, and the strength of impulse is equal to 2 pi ak. The Fourier transform of a periodic signal ft is 2 pi summation ak del omega minus k omega naught, where omega naught is angular frequency of ft and ak are Fourier series coefficients of ft. So we have already found out Fourier series coefficient of ft. So the strength of impulse at omega equal to 0 will be 2 pi into a0. A0 is T1 by Ts. So the strength of impulse will be here. This will be 2 pi into T1 by Ts. For the case of impulse, the strength of impulse is in Fourier transform, the strength of impulse is 2 pi by Ts, but in this case we are getting T1 by Ts term. Okay. For k equal to 1, we will get 2 pi into a1. So I am doing it for the case of when T1 by Ts is equal to 1 by 3. So here we will get impulse as 2 pi by, the strength of impulse we will get as 2 pi by 3. For then again we will get impulse at omega equal to omega s, and the strength is equal to 2 pi into a1. So a1 is this much height, so the strength of impulse will be little bit shorter than this strength. This is 2 pi into a1 is root 3 by 2 divided by pi. Similarly, at 2 omega s, we put 2 omega s, a2 is, so this way the impulse will keep decreasing, the strength of impulse will keep decreasing, because the strength of impulse is directly proportional to Fourier series coefficients. So the envelope of impulse will be same as the envelope of Fourier series coefficient. So we will make the same type of envelope. We will make same type of envelope. The x-axis, the scale of x-axis is different, that's why it is looking different. Okay. So at 3 omega s, since this is also a place of impulse, but a3 is 0, that's why the strength of impulse is 0 here. And similarly we will get the images 2 pi a minus 2, this is place of a3, 2 pi a3 is 0, a minus 3 is 0. So we will get this type of, this is the Fourier transform of these rectangular pulses. Suppose this is x omega. So the Fourier transform of sample signal will be x omega convolution this signal multiplied by 1 upon 2 pi. In case of impulse train, all the impulses have same strength. Even in Fourier transform, all the impulses has same strength, that is 2 pi by Ts. But in case of rectangular pulses, the strength of different impulses are not same. Even some strength of some impulses are 0. So The question may be asked that you will be asked to find out the frequency components present in the sample signal when the sampling is done with rectangular pulses. And for in case of when I took T1 equal to Ts by 3, in this case A3 is equal to 0. For another cases where there will be suppose T1 by Ts equal to 4, in that case A4 will be 0.